Welcome to Hometown Hairdressers.
Hey guys, how are you doing today?
We're your hosts. I'm Ernesto Calderon,
I'm Shauna Johnson.
and thanks for listening.
Just joining in.
Yeah.
So today we're just going to kind of dive right in. We are definitely new to this, and this is a kind of growing experience for us. So we hope to bring you information and knowledge and perspective, and just know that we hope to reach each and every individual behind the chair out there, no matter where you are on your journey. So
agreed, but just be patient with us as well. We don't really know what we're doing. We know we have ideas. We know we want to get them out there. We know that there's a lot of you like us that might listen, might gain some perspective, maybe get some back to us. But just bear with us as we go along this journey. We're going to improve our recordings. We're going to improve hopefully everything. So, but this is us. This is us from the grassroots, from the very bottom of what we're doing. So I hope that you can see us and this grow and
grow with us.
Yeah, grow with us.
So Ernie, what are we talking about today?
Social media. Social media in our industry. I think there's so much to be said here.
So really, I think it's just such a touchy subject for a lot of us. I know for myself, I started in the industry when it was word of mouth and it was business cards and it was, referrals and discounts for the people who were referring for you, have your friends talking about you. And I think that's kind of what gave us this hometown hairdresser feel, kind of our vibe. Is like we started there, but we have had to evolve. And a lot of times it's been really, not necessarily comfortable for us. We've grown into the social media era. Some of that's been easy for me to catch on to, and some of it has been like...
Sometimes I feel papa. I feel like an old man. I feel like the old man in the salon that's kind of clinging on to...
Yes.
The ways that were, and when I got into this business, and
literally I do. I feel like granny over here.
But I don't feel bad about that anymore. And I think the difference is I've really started to embrace this not relying on social media kick that I'm on.
FYI, Ernie is completely MIA.
I've taken a break from social media. Not all social media. I did keep one platform to keep in touch with family. But yeah, I was tired of it. And a lot of it was relating to what we do and the things that I saw in the salon around me and what social media was doing to our business and to our industry and to the relationships that we build with this. And I didn't like it.
Well, can I ask, from your perspective, what was it doing to your home life?
It was just taking a lot of time away. And really, when I made the decision to get off of Instagram last year, I decided to give myself the gift of no Instagram. And I'm only 6-7 months in right now, but it's given me more time face to face. I found myself grabbing my phone and looking at Instagram or Facebook or whatever it was 2 seconds after looking there and then locking my phone and putting it down. It just became mindless. And I looked up at one point and I saw those around me at home doing the same thing. And I understand we live in an age of devices, and here we are recording a video and putting it on social media. So it's not that I'm against it. I just think that it can be harnessed, but it needs to be edited down. The time that we spend on it needs to be edited. And I feel like if we just focus a little bit more on what's right in front of us, it could be better.
Well, and I don't know who can relate here with me on this one, but sometimes it's like you feel like you're chasing this endless, next best thing. Like it's got to be this, but then wait, it's got to be better, but then wait, it's got to be edited this way, and then you've got to have music to it, and then you've got to have video.
It's hard to keep up. It's so hard to keep up.
That in itself, I found to be a distraction to me behind the chair because
Mhm.
instantaneously somebody walks in the door, boom, you greet them. Hey, how are you? So glad you're here. What are we going to do today? Oh, but wait, let me interrupt this really quick.
Take a video.
So I can put the pressure on myself to start videoing and making sure I get the perfect footage, stretch out my appointment, take away time from my guests.
Exactly.
Like it just gets messy, messy.
It's adding a lot more time to the services, but the number one thing that I feel it's doing, it's taking the focus off of them and putting it on us. It's, we used to be all about our guests. We were supposed to be all about our guests. I feel like we should be all about our guests. And it takes the importance from them and puts it on me. How are my followers going to react to this? How many likes am I going to get? What are people going to think of me?
Me. And so then that starts to feel gross. Like to me, that feels icky.
Well, it feels like we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We are a service industry, and it's taking away. Yeah, they're getting the hair service, but that's almost
okay. And like this is another little facet to that goes into the whole ego thing. And I mean, I can tell you, I can put content up there, and it's good content. Like it can be something educational. It could be something that people truly could value and use, whether it be behind the chair, it be a client. And, you get 2, 3, 15, 27 hits, however many you get. I don't know what your page is or what, everybody differs. You put a picture of yourself on there.
Blows up.
It's
not about our work. It really isn't.
It isn't.
And I think that shows in what you just said with, I feel like people really want to see you.
That's true, and it's fair.
And it just almost seems like a mismatch of two things coming together where the Instagram is very ego focused. Like Facebook, I said the Instagram. I told you, Papa. But it's an ego thing. It's me. Look at what I'm doing, and not even what I'm doing, but what I want to show you I'm doing. And I understand the thing that it does for clients where they get, I've had clients that got really excited when I would put their picture on Instagram.
Yeah.
And
but then that leaves that one thing right there where it's like, what about the one client that you didn't put on there who's close to you?
Exactly. That's the flip side of it. Because there's some that we do that they love their hair and they come to us because they love their hair and they love the experience, but it's not what we would deem as photograph worthy.
Well, and there's that, yes. And not every hair color you do photographs well. And you can have a flawless balayage that you've worked on for 5.5 hours and done whatever the things you do and such, and it's just long and gorgeous and luscious, and it will photograph like crap. Like no matter what. Like you can't get it in the right lighting. You cannot get it on the right lighting.
The right lighting.
Yeah,
it just didn't exist for me. But what I realized is I'm not good at taking photos, and the main reason I'm not good at taking these photos is because I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if these people on Instagram like my work or not. What I care about is, does my guest like my work? Are you happy with your hair? Yes. Do you want to come back? Do you want to book another appointment? Yes. Thank you for the gratuity. Thank you for showing up on time. Thank you for all of those things. That's what I care about.
Yeah.
If they return, I care what their hair looks like when they get back to me. I don't care about the photos. I just never did care, and I guess that's why I never got good at it.
Well, there's so many things to know and learn and be, and a photographer is not one of them for me.
We've got enough jobs.
I'm fascinated by it, and hats off to every stylist that can do that. Like, no criticism whatsoever.
No. And I should have probably started with that. I'm not criticizing people who are doing these things necessarily. I see some great things and I see some really awesome content, and I followed a lot of it and I was into it. But I guess at the end of the day, what I really missed was the real life.
Yeah. Just the connection.
The connection. But even some of these influencers that I was intimidated to work next to, that their reputation preceded them, I realized their work is on par with what I'm doing, in some cases better, some cases not, but they just are really good photographers.
Well, there's that, yes. And then there's also there's people who can sell themselves a lot better. They, you know, are more
better on
okay.
like on social media.
Well,
or
yeah, like they're just better with putting themselves out there.
Right.
Like it's not something that tends to bother them as much. Whereas
like instead of us, I'm over here shaking.
It's, hey guys, this is
I'm
a
not
stretch.
as good
This
at
is a
it.
big
Yeah.
stretch, but it's okay because, like we said, we want you to grow with us, and we're growing and trying something new. I think we have a good perspective to get across to people, and I think that a lot of it is just to get back to the fundamentals, the foundation of where we started. Why did you get into this industry? Was it to, you know, be a celebrity stylist on this? And if it was, then great. Like take that route, and I cheers and applaud you. However, that's not conducive to the everyday stylist behind the chair.
The hometown hairdressers, like
the
us.
ones who started in their hometown.
This is a podcast for the rest of us.
Yeah, who, you know, knew everybody and grew up with those people and took care of families. And, you know, you were the one invited to the weddings, to the events. And it wasn't because maybe you were the best updo stylist.
No,
this, that, or the other, but you had community with these people. You were a part of them. They were a part of you.
Just what they got out of your service, out of what they left with, and what their hair looked like, and that's another point to all of this. On my perspective of it is all of that other stuff that comes along with it is much more important to me. I do care about that stuff more than I do about the posts on social media and my followers and all of that. So that.
Well, and it's really hard too not to get caught up in that. You know, the comparison thing. You know, there's no joy in comparison. Like there just period. There's not. You can get online and find anybody doing something 100 times better than you. But does that stop you from doing what you're doing? No, because.
But is it better than you? And that's another thing that I've found out after seeing the real life of what these Instagram influencers were putting out there.
You saw the behind the
I
scenes.
saw the real, and I saw without the filter and without the perfect light. I mean, are we ever in the perfect light? Always. We just never are. So the real life that I saw in a lot of cases, when I was looking at this work, going, oh my God, they're so much better than me. They're so much better than me. And I'm not, you know, bragging on my skills or anything, but what I did realize is not necessarily are they better. Not necessarily are they putting better work out there. Because I saw it in real life, flaws and all, the process and all
of it.
And what I realized is they struggle just like I do.
Well,
they just manage to get really good pictures. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of good work out there, and a lot of it is on Instagram. But I just like my view in real time, in real life, better than on Instagram.
I agree. And I think that when you can get back to the basics of that and you can simplify a little bit more, then you can use, you know, certain tools to help implement like these uploading apps and things like that that will kind of help you like manage your time, take you away from having to post daily and be online daily. And I do think that there's benefit to still having some interaction. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, at that level of wanting to reach, you know, celebrity hairstylist status, you know.
It's just, I mean, there's arguments to both sides. There really are. And I hate to sound like I'm just sitting here bashing social media. I don't mean to. I feel very strongly about the fact that we've wandered. We've wandered away from the core of what this industry is and what it still is to me. And I feel like if we could just get back a little bit more to that, we'd have a lot happier, more balanced,
right,
healthier, less burnt out people who
and
are.
Wait, hold on. Let me just add one thing here. Let's talk about all these influencers or these major people who have all of these followers.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get right down to it, their engagements don't back up their following. So they're getting 24 to 50 likes per post. People like pay attention to this stuff. Like, that probably means that they purchased followers, and that's okay. I'm assuming, but so like there's a lot of false people out there on social media that you cannot be fooled by, because
it's not always what it seems. And again, it just plays right into that. You can choose what you put out there and what people see,
right?
And that's I guess the veil that is social media is.
And
it doesn't always match real life.
Right. And I think that the younger stylists who are coming up and who are getting started and getting, their feet wet and figuring out what direction they want to go or whatever, you don't have to go straight into a specialty. Like, honestly, behind the chair, I feel like you need a little bit of like experience all the way around.
All the way around to be well-rounded and know what you really like, I guess. Yeah.
Right. But there's so many, social media things pushing these stylists to go straight into something here.
You're talking about like vivids or extensions
or like hone in on your specialty. And I think that's great in a very, high,
I just don't think you can specialize until you've mastered the basics.
Right.
And I think that's true in any other profession. You look at culinary, you look at, medical. You've got to learn all of it and practice all of it for a good little bit, like general.
But don't you think that social media is causing these younger girls to kind of veer off of the beaten path?
Yes, because it puts this idea out there that
you can go and do one thing and just be completely fabulous at it. But what if you miss the opportunity to figure out that you're completely 20 times more fabulous at this than you ever were at this? And you've already honed in on this, and you've weeded yourself out of all of these other things.
Even without social media involved, it's that way in academics. They're expected to declare a major before they even leave high school. I just don't think it's possible.
I didn't even know what toothpaste I wanted to use. Okay, let's just be for real. And more than likely, I was worried about where the party was at, and
no doubt
what I was going to be learning. That's for sure.
Well, I think that totally got us off track, but. As far as specializing in something, and
I guess my point was, it's just that social media, I feel like, is veering a lot of these girls away and making y'all feel like if you don't do that, you're doing something wrong. And I think we would like to say, you're not.
Right. I see what you're saying, where you need to be a braiding specialist or a blonding specialist or whatever. I think that term specialist gets thrown around a lot. I could call myself a blonding specialist because I do a lot of blonding. I don't think I'm a specialist. But because, like you said, I am trying to be a little more rounded, a little more well-rounded than that. But I just can't consider myself a specialist in anything, or a master, or an expert. I mean, those words don't come trippingly off my tongue.
You can formulate it like no other, but I'm just saying, like, you're a color formulating.
Well, thank you. I have a few clients that would probably disagree with that, but
well, we all have those days. And so that's the other thing. It's just, the relatability on social media is just sometimes it's very hard to get an accurate thing to be relating to there. So I just encourage everybody to take the blinders off a little bit
and look at real life. Look at the life in front of you, and less at your friends' posts. I mean, just put your phone down and look up. For a little while.
You definitely look up.
Definitely. So here's one area that I feel like social media is a huge step up and opportunity is for newly licensed stylists.
Yes.
I cannot imagine how amazing it must be to have that kind of advertising for free, the capabilities that you have.
Do you remember when we used to take out ads in the newspaper and everybody take like a group salon picture, and it was all the rage?
It was a thing to be in the newspaper. It was a thing. I'll be honest with you, I didn't do a lot of advertising, and I think that's part of why I have this position now, that you can do it without any of those things.
Right.
But you've got to tap into the things that you have, and episodes to come, we'll dive into all of that. But I didn't do Groupon. I didn't go pass out business cards on cars. I never put flyers on cars. I mean, who loves to come out of the grocery store and has a damn flyer on their windshield? You only notice it after you've gotten into your vehicle and have to get back out of your vehicle to take it off. And I'm pretty sure that if it had been a hairstylist that had put it on there, I would deliberately not go to them for littering on my car. So there's that. But I just never did that kind of stuff until I got my own salon. And then, yes, we took out ads and things like that. But word of mouth has always been my thing. It has always been what's built my clientele 2 times. Right. Was word of mouth. And those are the influencers. And that's what I called them before any social media was around. They were my influencers. They were the people who talked to a lot of people, who had a wide network. and you get a couple of them in your chair and you do good and you show up and you put out, I mean, service wise, then they're going to talk to their friends and educators, realtors, groups like that that know a lot of people and see a lot of people. Has always been the foundation of me building my clientele.
Well, and here's the thing too. I feel like with social media, there's this level of fear now. So I know that anytime I get some random message on social media, I'm like, well, who is this? I don't know who this is. What do they want? And then if it's some weird random somebody wanting you to influence something, or if it's this, that, or the other, like there's this level that is like instantly there of protection if anybody contacts you on social media that you don't know, because you hear all of these horror stories of elderly being taken advantage of, somebody's credit card being fraud, whatever. And so I know for me, when I walk up to somebody and I can read them and I can just kind of, introduce myself, talk to them, engage, get to know them, like kind of figure out their personality a little bit. Like to me, when I reach out, give, hey, this is the service I'm providing, and I would be really, interested in you coming in and, maybe me giving you a discount on your first service, but in return, hey, could you possibly go out and talk to all your sorority sisters, or however this may, line out or whatever. But like, just to know that somebody comes in and wants to actually engage again. I mean, people right now more than ever are like yearning and searching and longing for connection, whether it be with friendships, whether it be with relationships, however that looks for you. Get yourself out there. Like I totally agree with Ernie.
Well, because we've been locked up for better part of 2 years and relying very heavily on Zoom and other things like that to give our connections. I think people are at a place where they're ready to reconnect physically, in person, in real life. I remember during the shutdown, I didn't see nearly as many people in the parks and outside before we got shut down than I did then. And there was something about that time that made everybody sick of dealing with Zoom, FaceTime, emailing, all of that stuff. I mean, we got oversaturated with it, right?
It was almost like a reset. Like
it was, but so let's keep that going. Let's keep that desire to connect with people on a real physical level going. I feel like we're just kind of, oh, well, back to life as usual.
Well, and I think too, like, okay, say for instance, you're a stylist moving, like you're moving complete locations. Like, you're picking it from here, going somewhere else. You absolutely need social media because one, it's a great portfolio. Like it's a digital portfolio. You can pull up anywhere, anytime, anyhow. If you've got your direct booking link on there, you can use it for that to start, building a client base somewhere else as you transition to and from. So there are great things about it, but I think with, Ernie and I both being so strongly, getting back into connection and things like that, is just, like we said, people need that. People need to, feel like somebody's relating to them. People need to feel heard. I know they're doing a lot of this healing therapy now, like where they've got stylists who are doing healing therapy for their clients. They're in the chair, like whether it be
we do that anyway, but to really hone in on that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty impressive, honestly. And
become a specialist in that.
Or they have this thing too now where it's like if you're an empathetic hairdresser, it's teaching you how to, deal with that, not absorb everybody's
that's a whole
issues.
Other episode.
Yeah,
whole other episode. But back to newly licensed stylists and social media, with it being a benefit as far as getting out there and reaching a bunch of people. What about what you were saying earlier, where you've got somebody who's not great at taking pictures.
Right.
You've got somebody who's still very much learning and isn't ready to put their work out there. Do you feel like social media and the focus on it does harm to those people?
I think it definitely could, because you have all the people who troll social media every day, who are just waiting to criticize or be ugly to somebody. So, I mean, that's an insanely toxic side of it that I think is.
But I think also it just pushes people sometimes further into their shell. They think that if they're not going to make it on social media, if the same girl that graduated with her in her class, or a person that graduated with this person in beauty school, they finished the same time, they did all of that, and this other person is just better at creating content, maybe not necessarily better skill wise, and is getting more followers and is getting, that sort of thing.
You feel like it's just defeating already?
I just feel like it's a quadruple edged sword. I feel like there are so many pros and cons to social media depending on the situation we're talking about, But as it pertains to our industry, I definitely lean more towards the side that it's doing harm.
Yeah. And I think that is a very true statement.
It is.
How many times have you, kind of been on a roll? You're starting this whole social media. You're like, okay, I'm rejuvenated. I'm going to go back. I'm going to put out content. I'm going to make videos. I'm going to do this. I mean, I know I yo-yo with this all the time. So he's
But you're good at it. You're good at creating content.
I might be, but to create something like that and to put it out there and then just to kind of sit there, on it and wonder, I mean, I know I fall into that category. I wonder, it's like, well, you think that sucks? Like, what does this look like?
You start questioning and worrying what other people are going to think.
Which is so ridiculous because
considering the only person that you're here for is your guest.
Right. And so then I'm taking away, just like Ernie said, from my guests because I'm too consumed as to whether or not, and really, in all honesty, I mean, I think it's fun and I think it's creative and I think it's an awesome outlet for people that it comes easy to. But for me, it is how do you caption?
It's
how do you
hashtag?
How do you? And I mean, you guys have to understand too. We worked in a salon with 80.
Plus, a lot, yeah. Really talented stylists.
Yeah, I mean, these
a lot of them were big personalities on Instagram, influencers.
Yeah, but we sat in the break room with them and watched them struggle with hashtagging. Watched them, it's not just you. It's not just the girls from, the small salon over here or this booth over there. It's everybody. Like, this is just an issue we all have with this. And how do we get it away from that? Like, how do we stop the stigma of that's how you have to be successful?
By doing self-work and by removing ego and going back to basics a little bit, by putting your focus into your guest, into the person that you showed up to work for, or maybe even just refocusing who you're going to work for.
Well, that and then also too,
not where you're working, but I'm talking like what your purpose for that day is. Right. Are you going to go make lives better? Keep.
Right. And I think that's what I was going to say is like with your content, like when you're putting it out there, are you putting it out there with the intention of, I hope this hits somebody and it helps them. I hope it, does this, or are you putting it out there with the intention of, look at me?
Self-gratification.
Yeah. Like, I wonder how many likes I'm going to get.
And if you don't get enough, is it going to ruin your day?
Right. And if that's what you're doing, you probably should take a break.
Just refocus on
it a little
what
bit
really does matter, and is it bringing you joy? I hate to sound like, stitch it on a pillow, but it's true. It's true though. I mean, we spend so much time and give so much energy to the things that bring us down and stress us out and create stress, and the things that we know do not, they're real easy to ignore. So I guess as we wrap it up, I would plead with you guys to go back to basics.
Drop the things that don't serve you. Like, just for a while.
You're always so much better at wording.
Well, if it's just not serving you right now, or if you feel pulled, like, in a
Stop
direction.
If it's stressful, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, that's just, if it's anything, it's saying, it's yourself saying, hey, I need to take a pause on this. Maybe it's not for me right now. It doesn't mean it's not for you for forever, but for now, maybe it's something you need to eliminate to where you can focus a little bit more on yourself, self-love, self-nurturing, caring, like just anything you need at that point. Like, I think we've got to kind of shift that turn back around onto us. And in return, when we're loving ourselves well, we're loving our guests well, because they get what we give them, So
right.
If we're giving them 50, percent, well, there you go. You can, how that goes. But if we're giving 100%,
hit it dead on. You can only give so much if your focus is not with them. And let's be honest, why? I mean, who pays our bills?
Well, social media doesn't pay mine, and it really drains my tank. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, it will leave me on E.
And so why do we keep feeding it when it doesn't feed you back or give you anything, but moments
Don't
of
feed the beast.
little brain pings of, oh, that feels nice. Oh, I got 200 likes.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, all in all, I think this is probably going to be a 2 or 3 part conversation, don't you? There's
Probably
a lot to say.
There's a lot to say. And I think also too, you know, as we go on and bring guests on to speak with us on a lot of these topics, you know, we're going to get different perspectives. And so we're not going to be one side of this. It just happens to be mine and Ernie's side and where we lie with it. But, you know, we're willing to grow and be taught as well. So, I mean, you know, I hope as we evolve into this podcast, you know, we can pick up on more things and bring y'all more information.
Definitely. So, do you think we've said enough?
Have we ever said enough?
No. But we're going to leave it there.
We'll leave it here. Until next time.
Y'all take care.